Please, someone help me. Hey, are you okay? I don't know what to do anymore. What are you holding there? A card. I found it in the trash. Let me see. It won't do any good. Nothing does any good anymore. That name, that's my name. What? Kang Minjun, that's me. You own this card? Yes, executive pilot. Why do you have it? I found it near the hospital, in the trash can. In the trash can? I was looking for food. You live on the streets? For 3 months. And why did you keep my card? Because it said pilot. I always wanted to fly. Fly? Escape. Disappear. Get out of here. From where? From this life. From this hell. How old are you? 29. You're too young to give up. You don't know anything about me. I know you're crying on the street, holding my card like it's the last thing you have. What if it is? Then you need help. Nobody helps me. I will help. Why? Because I've been where you are. That's a lie. It's true. I slept in subway stations when I was 17. In your million-won suit? This suit came later, much later. And what changed? Someone reached out to me. And you want to reach out to me? Yes. I don't trust anyone. I understand. But you have 2 options. Stay here or give me a chance to help you. What if you're worse than the others? Then you come back here. But at least you tried. How much time do you have? What? Before your next flight. Pilots travel all the time. You're right, I travel. But tonight, I have all night. Why would you stop your night for me? Because when I was on the streets, someone stopped, and that saved my life. I don't want to be a charity project. You're not. You're someone who deserves a second chance. I've had several chances. I messed them all up. Then let's try one more. What if I mess up again? Then you get up and try again. You talk as if it's easy. It's not easy, but it's possible. How do you know? Because I did. And if I could do it, you can too. You don't even know me. Not yet, but I want to. Why? Because you kept my card. Out of the thousands of things you could have found in that trash can, you kept that card. That means something. It means I'm an idiot. It means you still have hope. I have no hope. Then why are you crying? Because I'm tired. Of what? Of everything. Of fighting. Of suffering. Of waking up every day not knowing if I'll survive. You will survive. How do you know? Because you're here. You're still breathing. You're still fighting. I'm not fighting. I'm giving up. You're not. If you were giving up, you wouldn't have kept this card. It's just a piece of paper. No, it's a piece of hope. And you held on to it. And now you come with me. Where to? To eat something warm. To talk. To start. Start what? Your new life. You're crazy. Maybe, but will you accept? I don't know. What's your name? Ha-En. Ha-En. Do you trust me? No. Fair enough. But will you accept my help? Why would I accept? Because you have nothing to lose and everything to gain.
If you like stories that truly touch your heart, hit the subscribe button. New episodes every week. Ha-On never imagined her life would turn upside down so quickly. 3 months ago, she had an apartment. It was small, cramped, with a leaky ceiling and noisy neighbors fighting every night, but it was hers. She paid the rent with her salary from the convenience store where she worked. Night shifts that left her exhausted, rude customers, a manager who yelled at her for anything, but at least she had a place to sleep. Then the past came knocking, literally. They were 2 men in black suits, hard faces, cold eyes. They asked if she was Park Ha-On. She said yes. They handed her a paper, a debt of 30 million won, a loan taken out in her name, her signature, her document. Except she had never asked for that money. That's when she understood. Her father, the man she hadn't seen in 17 years, the man who abandoned her and her mother when Ha-On was 12. He had used her name, he had forged her signature, he had taken the money, and he had disappeared again. The men didn't care about the story. They wanted the money. Either she paid or she would pay another way. Ha-an tried to explain, tried to show she was a victim, but they didn't listen. A week later, she was evicted. She lost her apartment, lost her job because she couldn't concentrate anymore, lost her friends because she no longer had a phone, no longer had an address, no longer had anything. And suddenly, Ha-an was on the streets. At first, she slept in public saunas, 5,000 won a night, but the money ran out quickly. Then she tried sleeping in 24-hour cafes, but the employees always kicked her out. So she went to subway stations.
Until the security guards started recognizing her. Now she slept wherever she could, under bridges, in alleys, in hidden corners where no one looked. She spent her days sitting near the subway station in Hongdae, head down, hood covering her face, an empty plastic cup in front of her. Most people walked past. Some left coins. Others left looks of pity or disgust. Ha-un didn't know what was worse. That April morning, the rain started early. Light at first, then heavy. Ha-un huddled under the awning of a clothing store that hadn't opened yet. She was cold. She was hungry. She hadn't eaten anything since the day before, a piece of bread someone had left on a subway bench. Her feet hurt. The soles of her sneakers were torn. Water seeped in and soaked her dirty socks. Her bones ached. Sleeping on the hard ground every night was destroying her body, and her eyes burned. Crying alone through the night had become routine. That's when she saw the overflowing trash can in front of the private hospital, Seoul Medical Center, the place where the rich went for treatment. Ha-un looked around. No one paid attention to her, everyone too busy with their own lives. She approached slowly, looked inside the trash bag. Food wrappers, half-empty coffee cups, crumpled papers, and at the bottom, among dirty napkins, a golden business card. Ha-un picked up the card, wiped it with her jacket sleeve, read the name. Kang Min-jun, Executive Pilot, Skyline Aviation. She didn't know why, but she put the card in her pocket. Maybe because the word pilot made her think of something she never had, freedom. Maybe because the card was beautiful, golden, shiny, something that didn't fit her life now. Or maybe, deep down, she still had a glimmer of hope that life could be different. She continued searching through the trash, found half a sandwich, wrapped it in a napkin, and put it in the old backpack she carried on her back. It wasn't much, but it was something. The rain grew heavier. Ha-un stepped out from under the awning and started walking aimlessly. Her clothes were soaked. Her hair stuck to her face. She was trembling. She passed an electronics store. The screen showed news. She stopped for a second, saw images of happy people, families, couples, children laughing. And then she saw her reflection in the glass. A thin girl, dirty clothes, sunken eyes, disheveled hair. She didn't recognize herself. Ha-un looked away and kept walking, passed by crowded restaurants, by the smell of warm food that made her feel even hungrier, passed by people holding colorful umbrellas, talking, laughing. She was invisible. When night fell, Ha-un found a dry spot under a staircase near Gangnam. She sat on the cold ground, took the card out of her pocket again, looked at the name, Kang Min-jun, and then, without knowing why, she started to cry. She cried for the life she lost, for her mother who died of cancer 2 years ago, for her father who used her and disappeared, for being alone, for being hungry, for being cold, for having no strength left. She held the card with both hands, as if it were the only solid thing she still had. And that's how he found her. A tall man, impeccable gray suit, tired but attentive eyes. He stopped in front of her, looked at the wet card she was holding, and said, "Min-jun, that's my card." Ha-un slowly raised her eyes. The man in front of her was tall, probably around 35. His gray suit was impeccable, but he didn't seem to care about the falling rain.
His eyes were dark, deep, and he looked at her in a different way. It wasn't pity. It wasn't disgust. It was something Ha-un couldn't identify. Ha-un, sorry, I didn't steal it. I found it in the trash, I swear. Min-jun, I know you didn't steal it. His voice was deep, calm, controlled. He didn't seem angry, just curious. Min-jun, you were crying. Ha-un, it's none of your business. Min-jun, it's not, but you're holding my name like it's the most important thing in the world. Ha-un squeezed the card between her fingers. She didn't know what to say. She didn't know why she was holding that piece of paper like a lifeline. Maybe because it was. Maybe because it was the only thing stopping her from giving up completely. Min-jun looked around. The street was empty. The rain was falling heavily. He sighed and crouched in front of her, completely ignoring the fact that his expensive suit was getting wet and dirty. Min-jun, how long have you been on the streets? Ha-un, why do you want to know? Min-jun, because I've been where you are. Ha-un laughed. It was a bitter, broken sound, devoid of humor. Ha-un, you? In that suit that must cost 5 million won? 7 million, actually. But yes, me. She looked at him with disbelief. Ha-un, you've never slept on the streets. I did. From 17 to 19. Subway stations, alleys, under bridges, just like you now. Ha-un fell silent. She wanted to believe he was lying,
that it was impossible for someone like him to have gone through that. But something in his eyes told her it was true. Ha-un, what happened? Min-jun, my parents died in a car accident. I had no one left. No relatives, no friends. I ended up on the streets with just the clothes on my back and nothing else. Ha-un, and how did you get out? Min-jun, someone helped me. Ha-un, who? Min-jun, a woman, owner of a small restaurant. She saw me trying to steal food from her trash. Instead of calling the police, she gave me a full plate and offered me a job. Ha-un felt something tighten in her chest. Ha-un, and you became a pilot? Min-jun, not immediately. I worked for years at that restaurant, saved money, studied at night, went to aviation college. It was difficult, but I made it. He extended his hand. Min-jun, come, I'll take you to get something warm to eat. Ha-un looked at his hand. Clean, firm, safe. So different from hers. Dirty, trembling, broken. Ha-un, I don't need your pity. Min-jun, it's not pity. Ha-un, then what is it? It's a debt. A debt? You don't know me. Min-jun, I don't. But someone helped me when I had nothing, and I promised that one day I would do the same for someone else. Today is that day. Ha-un felt the tears return. She fought to hold them back, but couldn't. I don't trust anyone. Min-jun, I understand. But you have two options. Stay here, wet, cold, hungry, or accept my help. Just for today, just one meal. If you don't like it, you can go back. No strings attached. Ha-un looked at the wet card she still held, then at his outstretched hand, then at the empty, cold street around them. She had nothing left to lose. Slowly, she placed her hand in his. Min-jun helped her up. She was weak, her knees ached, but he held her firmly. Min-jun, can you walk? Ha-un, yes. Min-jun, my car is over there. He pointed to a black sedan parked a few meters ahead. Ha-un hesitated again. Min-jun, if you're thinking I'm going to do anything to you, relax. I'm a pilot. I have a clean record. I can show you my ID, my professional license, whatever you want. Ha-un shook her head. No, I'm just not used to this. To what? To someone being kind. Min-jun looked at her for a long moment, and then he said something Ha-un would never forget. Min-jun, you deserve kindness. You just forgot that. They walked to the car. Min-jun opened the passenger door. Ha-un got in slowly, afraid of dirtying the clean leather seat.
But he said nothing, just closed the door and walked around. When he got in, he immediately turned on the heater. "Minjin, you're trembling. I've been cold for weeks." He took off his suit jacket and placed it over her shoulders. "Wear this." "But it will get ruined." "I have others." Hyun pulled the warm jacket around her body. It smelled of expensive perfume and something she hadn't felt in a long time. Safety. Minjin started the car and began to drive. "Where are we going?" "Itaewon. I know a place that's open 24 hours. Good food, quiet place. It must be expensive." "Don't worry about that." "I can't pay." "I didn't ask you to pay." Hyun fell silent, looking out the window. The illuminated city sped by. People walking with umbrellas, open stores, life happening. She had forgotten what it was like to be a part of it. "Hyun, why were you near that staircase?" "Minjin, I was coming back from a business dinner. I passed by there and saw you." "And you just stopped?" "Yes." "Why?" Minjin took a deep breath. "Minjin, because I saw the card, my card, in your hand, and I was curious. How did you get it? Why were you holding it? And when I got close and saw you crying, I couldn't leave." "You could have left." "I know, but I wouldn't have been able to sleep tonight if I had." Hyun looked at him, really looked, and for the first time in months she felt something beyond despair. She felt hope. The restaurant was small but cozy. Dark wooden walls, low tables, the strong smell of jjigae and warm rice in the air. There were few people there, most eating in silence. Minjin chose a table in the corner, away from curious glances. Hyun sat down slowly, still holding his jacket on her shoulders. She looked around, nervous. It had been so long since she had last sat in a real chair, in a warm place, with the smell of real food. "Minjin, you can order whatever you want." Hyun looked at the laminated paper. The letters seemed blurred. She realized she was crying again and quickly wiped her eyes. "Sorry. Minjin, you don't need to apologize." Minjin called the waitress and ordered without looking at the menu. Kimchi jjigae, white rice, 3 types of banchan, fried eggs, grilled pork, and hot tea. "That's a lot of food." "You need to eat." When the food arrived, Hyun tried to control herself, tried to eat slowly, with dignity, but hunger was stronger than anything else. She ate quickly, desperately, stuffing her mouth, almost choking. Tears fell onto her plate as she ate. Min-jun said nothing. He just watched. Not with pity, not with disgust, just with understanding. When she finished her first plate, he pushed his towards her. "Min-jun, I already had dinner. Eat." "Hyun, you don't have to." "Min-jun, eat." Hyun ate everything, every grain of rice, every piece of meat, every spoonful of soup. When she finally stopped, she felt her stomach full for the first time in weeks, and she felt ashamed. "Hyun, sorry, I must have looked like an animal." "Min-jun, you looked like someone who was hungry." Min-jun pushed a glass of water towards her. Hyun drank slowly, feeling the clean water go down her dry throat. "Min-jun, when was the last time you ate something warm?" Hyun, "I don't remember. Maybe a week? 10 days?" Min-jun, "And before you were on the streets, did you have a job?" Hyun nodded, still looking at the empty glass. Hyun, "Convenience store, night shift. It didn't pay well, but it paid the rent." Min-jun, "What happened?" She hesitated. She didn't want to talk about it, didn't want to relive the humiliation, the anger, the despair. But something about him made her want to talk. Maybe because he had said he'd been there. Maybe because she was tired of keeping everything to herself. Hyun, "My father. He took out an illegal loan using my name, forged my signature, used my documents, and disappeared." Min-jun tensed. "Min-jun, how much?" Hyun, 30 million won. He didn't blink, showed no shock, just nodded. Min-jun, "And the loan sharks came after you?" "Yes."
I tried to explain, tried to prove it wasn't me, but they didn't care. They said the name was mine, the signature was mine, so the debt was mine. Min-jun, did you go to the police? Hyun gave a bitter laugh. Hyun, I did. They said without concrete proof of fraud, they couldn't do anything. They said I should get a lawyer. But how? With what money? And your father? Do you know where he is? Hyun, no. He disappeared 17 years ago, when I was 12. My mother raised me alone until she died of cancer 2 years ago. And now he comes back just to destroy the little I had. Min-jun took a deep breath. His fingers drummed on the table for a second, as if he was thinking. Min-jun, do you have your documents? Hyun, I have my ID. I hid it in the lining of my backpack. It's the only thing I haven't lost. Min-jun, good. That's important. Hyun, why? Min-jun, because tomorrow I'm taking you to a lawyer. Hyun felt her heart race. Hyun, I don't have money for a lawyer. I barely have money to exist. I do. No, you've already done too much. I can't. Min-jun, you can, and you will. Hyun, why? Why are you doing this? Min-jun leaned forward, his eyes fixed on her. Min-jun, because when I was on the streets, no one helped me for months. I starved. I was cold. I was kicked. I was spat on. I was treated like trash. Until one person, a single person, decided to see me as human. And that changed everything. Hyun felt the tears return. Hyun, but what if it doesn't work out? What if I can't get out of this? Then we try again, and again, until we succeed. Hyun, you don't know me. You don't know if I deserve this. Everyone deserves a chance. Everyone. Hyun covered her face with her hands and cried. Cried from relief. Cried from shame. Cried from gratitude. Cried because for the first time in 3 months, someone was on her side. Min-jun waited in silence. He didn't try to touch her, didn't try to console her with empty words. He just stayed there. When she finally calmed down, he pushed a clean napkin towards her. Min-jun, do you have somewhere to sleep tonight? Hyun shook her head. Hyun, I sleep wherever I can. Tonight was going to be under that staircase where you found me. Min-jun, no. Tonight you're going to sleep in a real bed. What? Min-jun, I know a Goshiwon in Sinchon. Simple place, but clean. I'll take you there and pay 2 weeks in advance. You can't do that. Min-jun, I can, and I will. But why? Min-jun stood up, took the bill, and went to the cashier. Hyun remained seated, stunned, unable to process what was happening. When he returned, he extended his hand again. Come, let's get you a place to rest. Hyun took his hand and stood up. Her legs trembled, not from weakness, but from emotion. In the car, she looked out the window again. The rain had stopped. The streets were wet, reflecting the city lights. Hyun, Min-jun, Min-jun. Hyun, thank you. Min-jun, you don't need to thank me. I do. You saved my life today. He glanced at her and smiled. It was a small, tired, but genuine smile. Min-jun, I haven't saved it yet, but I will. And in that moment, Hyun believed him. For the first time in a long time, she believed that maybe, just maybe, she would survive. The Goshiwon was in an old building near Sinchon Station. It wasn't luxurious.
The walls were thin, the hallway cramped, and you could hear neighbors talking in the rooms next door. But it was clean, and it was safe. Min-jun spoke with the owner of the place, a woman in her 60s with kind eyes. He paid 2 weeks in advance in cash, plus a security deposit. The woman looked at Ha-eun with compassion, but asked no questions. Owner, room 304, 3rd floor. Shared bathroom at the end of the hall. Kitchen on the 2nd floor. No noise after 10 at night. Ha-eun held the key as if it were gold. Min-jun carried her old backpack up the stairs. The room was tiny, 3 square meters at most. A single bed, a small closet, a desk, and a narrow window overlooking the alley. Min-jun, it's small, but it's yours, for now. Ha-eun, it's perfect. He put her backpack on the floor and took out his wallet. Min-jun, here, for food, for whatever you need. Ha-eun, no, you've already done too much. Ha-eun, take it. She hesitated, but took the money. It was 200,000 won, more money than she had seen in months. Ha-eun, I'll pay you back, everything, every one, I promise. Min-jun, you don't need to promise anything, just take care of yourself. Min-jun took another business card from his pocket. This one was clean, dry. He flipped it over and wrote something on the back with a pen. Min-jun, this is my personal number. If you need anything, call, no matter the time. Ha-eun took the card with both hands. Ha-eun, do you work tomorrow? Yes, I have a flight to Tokyo early tomorrow morning. I'll be back the day after tomorrow. Ha-eun, so I won't see you tomorrow? No, but I'll call when I land, and when I get back, we'll go to that lawyer. Deal? Ha-eun nodded, holding the card against her chest. Min-jun looked at her one more time. There was something in his gaze, something Ha-eun couldn't decipher. Concern? Protection? Or something more? Rest, you need it. Ha-eun, Min-jun? Yes. Ha-eun, why are you really doing this? He was silent for a moment, as if choosing the right words. Because no one deserves to be alone the way you were, and because I don't want anyone else to feel what I felt back then. He laughed before Ha-eun could answer. When the door closed, she was left alone in the tiny room. She looked around, touched the bed, lay down slowly, feeling the soft mattress beneath her, pulled the clean blanket over her body, and she cried until she fell asleep. But this time, it wasn't tears of despair. It was tears of relief. In the following days, Min-jun kept his promise. He called every day, sometimes early in the morning before a flight, sometimes at night when he was in a hotel in another country. Did you eat? Yes, I bought kimbap at the corner store. Did you sleep well? Yes, the bed is... I can't believe I have a bed. Are you taking care of yourself? I'm trying. That's enough. The calls were short, simple, but they meant everything to Ha-eun. They meant someone cared, someone remembered her, that she wasn't invisible. When Min-jun returned from Tokyo, he appeared at the Goshiwon with a paper bag in his hand. What is this? Clean clothes. You need them. Inside the bag were new pants, 2 blouses, a jacket, socks, and new sneakers. Nothing too expensive, but all clean, all new. Ha-eun felt the tears return again. Ha-eun, you didn't have to. I did. You can't go to the lawyer in those clothes. Lawyer? Today. I scheduled it for this afternoon. Are you ready? Ha-eun wasn't, but she said yes. The lawyer's office was in Gangnam, in a tall, modern building. Ha-eun had never been to a place like that. Everything was glass, marble, elegant silence. The lawyer, a middle-aged man named Lee Jae-sung, listened to her story carefully. He asked for documents, asked for details, asked for everything she could remember. Lee Jae-sung, it's a difficult case, but not impossible. I'll need to file a fraud lawsuit. I'll need to track down your father, and I'll need to negotiate with the loan sharks. Min-jun, how long will it take? Lee Jae-sung, months, maybe a year. And how much will it cost? Lee Jae-sung, 5 million won, up front. Ha-eun felt her heart sink. She would never have that money, never. But Min-jun just nodded. Min-jun, you can start. Ha-eun, Min-jun, no. But he held her hand under the table. It was quick, firm, reassuring. Min-jun, let me do this. Ha-eun looked at him, and she saw determination. She saw kindness. She saw something she hadn't seen in anyone for a long time. She saw someone who truly cared. In the following weeks, Min-jun continued to help. He paid the lawyer, paid for another month at the Goshiwon, paid for Ha-eun to get new documents that had been lost. And he always called, always asked if she was okay. And slowly, Ha-eun began to feel something beyond gratitude. She started waiting for his calls, started smiling when she saw his name on the screen, started getting ready a little more when she knew he was going to show up. She was falling in love, and she was afraid of it, because men like Minjin didn't fall in love with girls like her, broken girls, girls from the streets, girls with no future. But every time he looked at her, every time he smiled, every time he held her hand for a second longer than necessary, Ha-eun felt a spark of hope. One Thursday night, Minjin showed up at the Goshiwon without warning. He was in his pilot's uniform, his navy blue tie a little loose, his eyes tired but bright. Minjin, sorry to call late, I just landed. Ha-eun, it's okay, I was awake. Minjin, can't sleep? Ha-eun, sometimes it's hard. I still haven't gotten used to all of this. Minjin, it's a lot of change. It is, but it's good. For the first time in a long time, I feel like maybe I can survive. Silence on the other end. Then Minjin said something that made Ha-eun's heart stop. Minjin, you're not just going to survive, Ha-eun, you're going to truly live, I promise. And that night, Ha-eun slept with a smile on her face. 2 weeks later, Ha-eun was starting to feel human again. She woke up in a real bed, took a shower every day, ate 3 meals. Her clothes were clean, her hair was washed, and for the first time in months, when she looked in the mirror, she could recognize herself. The lawyer was working on the case. Slowly, but he was. He had found proof that the signature on the loan documents wasn't hers. He was trying to track down her father. And he was negotiating with the loan sharks to prove Ha-eun was a victim. All thanks to Minjin. He kept calling every day. Sometimes they talked for 5 minutes, sometimes for half an hour. He told her about the places he visited: Singapore, Hong Kong, Bangkok, Osaka. And Ha-eun told him about her small daily victories. She had managed to walk to the park. She had eaten at a restaurant alone without having a panic attack. She had managed to sleep through the night without waking up scared. And little by little, something was changing between them. The conversations grew longer. The silences became more comfortable. And Ha-eun noticed her heart raced every time the phone rang. She was falling in love, and she was afraid of it. Because men like Minjin didn't fall in love with girls like her, broken girls, girls from the streets, girls with no future. But every time he looked at her, every time he smiled, every time he held her hand for a second longer than necessary, Ha-eun felt a spark of hope. One Thursday night, Minjin showed up at the Goshiwon without warning. He was in his pilot's uniform, his navy blue tie a little loose, his eyes tired but bright. Minjin, I just landed. I thought you'd want to know. The lawyer managed to contact the loan sharks. They agreed to wait until the lawsuit is over. Ha-eun covered her mouth with her hands. Ha-eun, seriously? Seriously, you're safe. She didn't think. She just threw herself into his arms. Minjin hesitated for half a second, then hugged her back. It was the first time they had truly touched, and Ha-eun felt something electric course through her entire body. When she pulled away, she was blushing. Sorry, I didn't know how to thank you. Minjin, you don't need to thank me. I do. You changed my life. Minjin looked at her in a different way. His eyes scanned her face as if memorizing every detail. Minjin, come with me. Where to? Minjin, do you trust me? Ha-eun didn't need to think. She just nodded. They took his car and drove to the Han River. The night was cold, but the sky was clear. The city shone reflected in the dark water. Minjin parked near one of the bridges, and they got out of the car. The wind blew strongly, messing up Ha-eun's hair. She pulled her coat tighter around her body, but she wasn't cold, not really. Ha-eun, why did you bring me here? Minjin rested his arms on the guardrail, looking at the river. Minjin, because you said you wanted to fly. I did? Yes, on the first night, when I found you. You said you kept my card because it said pilot, and you wanted to fly. Ha-eun remembered. It felt like a lifetime ago. Ha-eun, I don't really remember what I said that night. I was not well. You were broken, but not destroyed. She looked at him. Ha-eun, how did you know? Minjin,
Because I recognized it. I saw in you the same thing someone saw in me years ago. The will to keep going, even when everything was horrible. You hadn't given up, not completely. Ha-eun felt the tears come again, but this time she managed to hold them back. Minjin, I fly almost every day, but I still find it incredible to be above everything, above problems, above pain, above the world. For a few minutes, nothing else matters. It must be liberating. It is. And one day I'll take you. I'll show you what it's like. Ha-eun chuckled softly. Ha-eun, I've never been on a plane in my life. Then it will be even more special. They stood in silence for a few minutes, side by side, looking at the city.
Han could feel the warmth of his body near hers. She could hear his breathing. She could feel her heart beating faster and faster. Ha-eun. Minjin. Minjin? Ha-eun. Why did you really help me? The truth, not the pretty answer about returning the favor. He was silent for a long moment. So long that Ha-eun thought he wouldn't answer. But then he spoke. Minjin. Because when I saw you on that street, holding my card, crying, I saw myself. I saw the 17-year-old boy who was completely alone. And I thought, if someone had helped me sooner, if someone had stopped earlier, how many cold nights would I have avoided? How much suffering would I have been spared? He turned to her. Minjin, I couldn't go back in time and help myself, but I could help you, and it was like it was a second chance. Ha-eun felt something break in her chest, from pain, from gratitude, from something deeper she couldn't name. Ha-eun, you saved my life. Minjin, you saved your own life. I just gave you the tools. No, you did more than that. You made me feel like I was still worth something. Minjin took a step closer. Now they were almost touching. Minjin, you always were. You had just forgotten. Ha-eun looked into his eyes, and for the first time she let him see what she was feeling, see the confusion, the fear, the hope, and the love that was beginning to grow. Minjin slowly raised his hand and brushed a strand of hair from her face. His fingers grazed her cheek, and Ha-eun felt her entire body tremble. Minjin, Ha-eun. But then his phone rang. They immediately pulled away. Minjin took his phone out of his pocket and looked at the screen. His expression changed. He became tense, worried. Sorry, I need to answer this. It's okay. He walked a few steps away and answered. Ha-eun couldn't hear what he was saying, but from his tone of voice, it was something serious. When he came back, he seemed different, more distant. Minjin, I have to go. An emergency came up at work. It's okay, I understand. Minjin, I'll take you back. In the car, the silence was different. It wasn't comfortable. It was tense. Ha-eun wanted to ask what had happened, but she didn't feel she had the right. When they arrived at the Goshiwan, Minjin didn't even turn off the car. Minjin, sorry to end the night like this. You don't need to apologize. You have your life, your job. He looked at her. Minjin, Ha-eun, go take care of what you need to take care of. She got out of the car before he could say anything else. And when she entered the room, she felt something strange in her chest, something that felt like fear. Fear that maybe she had deluded herself. Fear that maybe she had misinterpreted. Fear that maybe she was falling in love with someone who could never love her back. Minjin didn't call the next day, nor the day after. Ha-eun tried not to worry, tried to convince herself that he was busy, that something important had come up, that it was just a coincidence. But on the third day with no news, she started to feel the panic return. She sent a message, simple, no pressure. Ha-eun, are you okay? No answer. She waited all day, looking at her phone every 5 minutes.
waiting for his name to appear on the screen, but nothing. At night, she tried to call. It went straight to voicemail. And then Ha'an understood. Something had changed. Something had happened that night by the river, after that call. And now he was pulling away. On Friday morning, Ha'an decided to go out. She couldn't stay locked in her room thinking. She took some money she still had and went to a cafe near Yonsei University. She wanted to try to feel normal, try to do things normal people do. She ordered a simple Americano and sat near the window, opened an old book she had found in a used bookstore, but couldn't concentrate. Her thoughts kept returning to Minjin. That's when the cafe door opened, and he walked in. Han's heart leaped. She was about to stand up to call out to him, but then she saw he wasn't alone. A woman was beside him. Tall, elegant, long, perfectly styled hair, expensive beige dress, high heels, designer bag. She was laughing at something Minjin had said, lightly touching his arm. Han felt her stomach churn. Minjin hadn't seen her yet. He was focused on the woman, pulling out a chair for her to sit. They seemed intimate, comfortable with each other. Han should have left, should have gone out the back door before he saw her. But she was paralyzed. She couldn't move. And then Minjin turned his head, and his eyes met hers. He turned pale. Han saw the panic on his face, saw him say something to the woman, and quickly stand up, walking to her table. Minjin, Han. She couldn't speak. She just looked at him, then at the woman, then back at him. Minjin, I can explain. Han, you don't. I do. Please, let me. But the woman approached too. She looked at Han with curiosity, then at Minjin. Seo-yan.
Minjun? Who is she? Minjun closed his eyes for a second, as if gathering courage. Minjun, Seon, this is Han. Han, this is Seon. Seon smiled politely and extended her hand. Han looked at her hand as if it were a snake. It's a pleasure. Minjun took a deep breath. Minjun, Seon is my fiancé. Han's world stopped. She heard the words, but it took a few seconds to process. Fiancé? He had a fiancé. Han, fiancé? Seon, yes, we've been engaged for 6 months. The wedding is in November. Han felt as if she had been punched in the stomach. She looked at Minjin, hoping he would deny it, that he would say it was a lie, that he would explain, but he just lowered his head. Seon, Minjin told me about you. It's very admirable what he's doing, helping someone in a difficult situation. He's always been so generous. Admirable, generous, charity project. Han felt the humiliation burn in every cell of her body. I see. Minjin, Han, wait. But Han pulled away as if his touch burned her. No, it's fine. I misunderstood. Sorry to have interrupted. You didn't interrupt anything. Stop, please stop. Han grabbed her bag with trembling hands, left money on the table to pay for the coffee she hadn't even drunk, and left the cafe as quickly as she could without running. On the street, she walked quickly, aimlessly. Tears streamed down her face, but she didn't care. People looked, but she saw no one. She had been so idiotic, so naive, so stupid. She thought he cared about her, thought there was something between them, thought those glances, those silences, that almost kiss by the river meant something. But she was just another project, another good deed, another way for him to feel good about himself. She heard footsteps running behind her and his voice calling, Minjin, Han, stop, please. She stopped, but didn't turn around. She couldn't look at him. Minjin appeared in front of her, out of breath. Minjin,
Let me explain. Han, there's nothing to explain. There is. Yes, there is. I should have told you. I know. But what? You thought I didn't need to know? Thought it wasn't important? Minjin, it's not what you're thinking. Han finally looked at him, and she let him see the pain, the anger, the betrayal. Han, and what am I thinking, Minjin? That I was foolish enough to believe you cared about me? That I was pathetic enough to start having feelings for you? He fell silent. Han, that's exactly it. I deluded myself. I thought maybe you felt something too. But I was just, what? Your project? Your good deed of the month? No, it was never like that. Han, then what was it like? Explain it to me, please, because I don't understand how you can have a fiancé and not tell me. How you can look at me the way you did, touch me the way you did, and still have someone waiting for you. It's complicated. No, it's not complicated. You lied. You omitted. You made me believe in something that never existed. Han, I don't want your help anymore. I don't want your money anymore. I don't want anything from you anymore. Don't say that. The lawyer is still working on your case. I'll figure it out, alone, like I always have. You don't have to be alone. Han laughed, a bitter and painful sound. I've always been alone, Minjin. For a moment I forgot, but now I remember. She took a step back. Thank you for everything. Truly, you saved my life. But now I need you to leave me alone. Minjin, Han, please. Goodbye, Minjin. She turned and started walking. Every step hurt. Every breath hurt. But she kept walking, and this time he didn't follow her. Han returned to the goshiwon and locked the door. She lay on the bed and stared at the ceiling for hours. She didn't cry. She couldn't. It was as if all her tears had dried up. Only a huge emptiness remained in her chest. The phone rang. It was Minjin. She didn't answer. It rang again, and again, and again. Han turned off her phone. Messages started coming in, dozens of them. She didn't read any. She just blocked his number. In the following days, Han barely left her room. She ate little, slept even less. She lay there, staring at the wall, trying to understand how she had let things get to this point, how she had been so stupid to fall in love. She knew she shouldn't have, knew that men like Minjin didn't fall in love with girls like her, but she had allowed herself to dream. And now she was paying the price. On the fourth day, someone knocked on the door. Han thought it was the goshiwon owner collecting next week's rent. But when she opened the door, it was Minjin. He looked awful. Deep dark circles under his eyes, stubble, messy hair, wrinkled shirt. Minjin, Han. She tried to close the door, but he held it. Minjin, please, just listen to me. 5 minutes, that's all I ask.
I don't want to listen. Minjin, I know. But you need to listen. Haeun felt the anger returning, the pain returning, everything returning at once. Haeun, you have a fiancé, Minjin. You should be with her, not here. Minjin, I don't love her. That changes nothing. Minjin, it changes everything. It doesn't change anything. You still lied to me. You still deceived me. Minjin, I didn't deceive you. I didn't know how to tell you. Hi, Haeun, I have a fiancé. There, that's all it was. Minjin ran his hand through his hair, frustrated. Minjin, it wasn't that simple. Yes, it was, but you chose not to tell me, and now I know why. Because you knew that if I knew, I would never would have gotten close to you. Minjin, exactly, and I didn't want you to pull away. Why? Minjin, because I needed you. Haeun felt something break inside her again. Haeun, needed me? For what? To feel better about yourself? To be the hero who saves the poor girl from the streets? No, because when I'm with you, I remember who I was before all of this. Before the money, before the company, before the expectations. With you, I'm just me. That's not fair. I know. You can't say these things to me, not when you have someone waiting for you. I'm going to break up with her. Haeun stopped, looked at him as if she hadn't heard correctly. What? I'm going to end the engagement. No, you won't. I will, because I don't love her, never did, and it's not fair to her, or to me, and not to you. Haeun shook her head, feeling the tears finally return. Haeun, you won't do that for me. It's not just for you, it's for me too. Haeun, Minjun, you don't even really know me. It's been less than a month since we met. You're not going to break off an engagement because of this? I will, because this 1 month with you has meant more than 6 months with her. Haeun covered her face with her hands. Stop, please stop talking. Minjun took a step into the room. Minjun, Haeun, look at me. She didn't look. Minjun, look at me, please. Slowly, she lowered her hands and looked into his eyes. Minjun, I should have told you, from the beginning. And I didn't tell you because I'm a coward, because I was afraid of losing you, because for the first time in years, I felt something real, and I didn't want it to end. But it will end. It has to end. You have a life, a fiancé, a company, and I have nothing. Minjun, you have yourself, and that's more than enough. Haeun shook her head, tears falling freely now. It's not. I'm not enough. Not for you, not for anyone. Minjun, don't say that. It's the truth. It's not. You are strong. You are brave. You survived things most people wouldn't survive. And you're still here. You're still fighting. I'm not fighting. I'm giving up. You're not. If you were, you wouldn't have sent me away. You would have let me keep helping just for the money. But you didn't do that. You sent me away because you have pride, because you have dignity, because you care. Haeun closed her eyes, trying to hold back her sobs. I need you to leave. No. Haeun, Minjun, no. Not until you promise you won't give up. I can't promise that. Then I'm not leaving. Haeun opened her eyes and looked at him with anger. You can't force me to do anything. I can't, but I can stay here until you accept my help. I don't want your help. That's a lie. You do. You're just hurt and proud, and I understand. But don't let pride destroy you. You don't understand anything. I do, because I've been exactly where you are. Hurt, betrayed, without trust in anyone. But someone insisted on helping me, even when I didn't want it. And that saved my life. Haeun looked at him for a long moment. Haeun, please, please just go. I can't take it anymore. I can't stand feeling this. Feeling what? This pain, this foolish hope that maybe you really care. I can't take it anymore. Minjun took another step and stopped in front of her, slowly raised his hands and held her face. Minjun, I care, more than I should, more than a sensible, more than I can explain. No, yes, and I'm going to prove it. He released her face and took a step back. Minjun, I'm going to end the engagement. Today, now. And when I do that, I'll come back here, and we'll talk. For real. You don't have to do that. I do. For me. Not for you. For me. And before Haeun could answer, he left. Haeun stood in the middle of the room, trembling, crying, not knowing if she should believe him, not knowing if she could survive if he didn't come back. Haeun couldn't do anything for the rest of the day. She sat on the bed, hugging her knees, looking at the door, as if Minjun would appear at any moment. But the hours passed. Afternoon turned into night. and he didn't come back. She tried not to think the worst, tried not to imagine that he had changed his mind, that he had realized she wasn't worth it, that he had gone back to his fiancée and his perfect life. But the thoughts came anyway. At 9 in the evening, Ha-eun was almost giving up when she heard footsteps in the hallway. Her heart raced, but the footsteps passed right by her room. She lay on the bed and closed her eyes, tried to sleep, but sleep wouldn't come. At 10:30, someone knocked on the door. Ha-eun jumped out of bed and ran to the door, her heart beating wildly. But when she opened it, it wasn't Min-jun. It was a woman, Seon. Ha-eun was paralyzed. Seon looked different from last time. No makeup, red, swollen eyes, hair tied up haphazardly. She looked as broken as Ha-eun felt. Seon, may I come in? Ha-eun wanted to say no, wanted to close the door, but something in Seon's expression made her step aside. Seon entered the tiny room and looked around, not with judgment, just with weariness. Sorry to show up like this. I know it's strange. Ha-eun, why are you here? Seon sighed and sat on the only chair in the room. Seon, because Min-jun broke up with me today, and I need you to know the truth. Ha-eun felt the ground disappear beneath her feet. Ha-eun, he broke up? Seon, yes, 3 hours ago. He came to my house, looked into my eyes, and said he couldn't continue with this anymore. Ha-eun, I didn't ask him to do that. Seon, I know. He made it very clear that the decision was his. Seon wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. Seon, you think he used you, don't you? Ha-eun didn't answer, but Seon saw the answer on her face. Seon, he didn't use you. If anyone's being used here, it's me, and it always has been. Ha-eun, what do you mean? Seon took a deep breath. Seon, our engagement isn't for love. It never was. It's an arrangement. Between families, between companies. Ha-eun frowned. Arrangement? Seon, yes. Min-jun's father built Skyline Aviation from scratch. It's his life, his legacy. But he's sick. Pancreatic cancer. It's in an advanced stage. Ha-eun felt her stomach clench. Seon, before he dies, he wants to make sure the company will continue. And the only way to guarantee that is if Min-jun marries me. Ha-eun, why? Seon, because my father is the company's biggest investor. He put billions of won into Skyline, and he'll only continue investing if I marry Min-jun. Ha-eun, that's, Seon, ridiculous? Archaic? Yes, but it's his reality. Seon looked at her own hands. Seon, I agreed to the engagement because my family expected it of me, because it was what women of my position were supposed to do. But I never loved Min-jun, and he never loved me. Ha-eun, then why did he accept? For his father. Because he didn't want to disappoint the only man who believed in him when he had nothing. Ha-eun felt the tears return. Ha-eun, and now? Seon, now he chose you. He chose himself. For the first time in his life, he chose what he wanted, not what was expected of him. Ha-eun, but what about the company and his father? Seon, it's going to be difficult. My father will probably withdraw his investment. The company might suffer. Min-jun's father will be disappointed. But Min-jun said he doesn't care. Said he'd rather lose everything than live a lie. Seon stood up. Seon, I came here because you need to understand one thing. Min-jun isn't doing this out of pity. He's not doing it out of guilt. He's doing it because you are the first person in years who makes him feel something real. Ha-eun covered her face with her hands. Ha-eun, I don't know what to say. Seon,
You don't need to say anything. You just need to understand that he's sacrificing everything, everything, for a chance to be with you. Ha-un, that's not fair. What's not fair? Ha-un, I can't let him do that. I can't be the reason he loses everything. Seon gave a small, sad smile. Seon, you're not the reason. You're the excuse. He'd been suffocating for years. You just gave him the courage to breathe. She walked to the door and stopped. Seon, he told me he's coming here tomorrow. Said he needs time to sort some things out first. But he's coming. And when he comes, don't send him away. At least listen to what he has to say. Ha-un, Seon, yes. Ha-un, are you okay? Seon chuckled softly. No, but I will be. Because for the first time, I also have the chance to choose what I want. And it's not this engagement. She opened the door and left, leaving Ha-un alone with her thoughts. Ha-un sat on the bed, trying to process everything. Min-jun had ended the engagement. He had chosen her. He was willing to lose everything for her. And that terrified Ha-un more than anything else. Because now she had to decide. Accept his love and risk him regretting it later?
Or pull away and protect them both from an uncertain future. She didn't sleep that night. She stayed awake, staring at the ceiling, thinking about Min-jun, thinking about what he said, thinking about what So-yeon revealed. And for the first time, Ha-un realized something. She wasn't afraid that Min-jun didn't love her. She was afraid that he did love her, and that she wouldn't be able to reciprocate in the way he deserved. Because how could someone broken like her love someone whole like him? The next day, Ha-un left early. She needed to walk, to think, to breathe. She went to the park near the university and sat on an empty bench. The sun was strong. Children ran around. Couples walked hand in hand. Life happening. Ha-un closed her eyes and tried to imagine the future, tried to imagine her and Min-jun together, tried to imagine being happy, and for the first time she could see it. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't easy, but it was real. When she opened her eyes, Min-jun was standing in front of her. He was wearing simple clothes, jeans, white t-shirt, no suit, no tie, just him. Min-jun, So-yeon said she came here yesterday. Ha-un, she did. Min-jun, and what did she tell you? Ha-un, everything. Min-jun sat beside her on the bench. Min-jun, so you know? I know. Min-jun, and what do you think? Ha-un looked at him. Ha-un, I think you're crazy. Min-jun, probably. Ha-un, you're going to lose everything. Maybe. Ha-un, and you won't regret it? Min-jun held her hand. It was the first time he had done so without hesitation. The only thing I would regret is not having tried. Ha-un felt the tears return. Ha-un, I'm scared. Me too. Ha-un, what if it doesn't work out? What if it does? Ha-un looked at his hand holding hers. It was warm, firm, real. Ha-un, Min-jun, Min-jun. Ha-un, I don't know if I can be what you need. You already are. How? Just by being you. And in that moment, Ha-un realized something important. Maybe she didn't need to be perfect. Maybe she didn't need to be completely healed. Maybe she just needed to be willing to try. Ha-un, I'm not going to make it easy for you. I didn't expect you to. Ha-un, and I'm still angry with you. Fair enough. Ha-un, and it will take time until I trust you completely again. I'll wait. Ha-un squeezed his hand. Ha-un, so we try? Min-jun smiled. It was the first genuine smile Ha-un had seen on his face since they met. We try. The following days were strange. Good, but strange. Min-jun and Ha-un were together, but it was different now. There were no more secrets, no more lies, but there was also an uncertainty in the air. As if they were both learning to get to know each other again. Min-jun continued to help with her case. The lawyer had gathered enough evidence of fraud.
He was about to file a lawsuit against her father and the loan sharks. Things were moving forward, but Minjun's life was falling apart. So-yeon's father had withdrawn his investment from Skyline Aviation. 15 billion won left the company overnight. The partners were panicking. There were daily meetings, constant calls, pressure from all sides. And Minjun's father was in the hospital. Ha-eun knew Minjun was suffering. She saw it in his eyes, in the way he smiled, but the smile didn't reach his eyes, in the way he held her hand a little tighter, as if he was afraid of losing her too. A week after the engagement ended, Minjun appeared at the Goshiwon at night. It was raining heavily. He was soaked, trembling, but not from cold. Minjun, my father wants to see me. Ha-eun, now? Minjun, now, at the hospital. Ha-eun, then go. Minjun, he wants to meet you. Ha-eun stopped. Ha-eun, what? He knows about you. So-yeon told him. And now he wants to meet you. Before. Minjun didn't finish the sentence, but Ha-eun understood. Before he died. Ha-eun, Minjun, I don't think that's a good idea. I know, but he asked, and I can't refuse. Ha-eun saw the despair in his eyes, saw that he needed this, needed his father to meet the person for whom he had sacrificed everything. Okay, I'll go. The hospital was private, expensive, silent. Minjun held Ha-eun's hand the entire time as they went up to the 4th floor. He was tense, more tense than Ha-eun had ever seen him. He's going to be hard on you. My father isn't kind. He's direct, sometimes cruel. I can take it. No, you don't understand. He's going to try to break you. He's going to try to prove you're not good enough. Ha-eun stopped and looked at him. Ha-eun, and you think I am? What? Good enough. Minjun held her face with both hands. You are more than enough. You are everything. Ha-eun took a deep breath and nodded. Ha-eun, then it doesn't matter what he says. They reached the room door. Minjun knocked twice and entered. The room was large, with floor-to-ceiling windows showing the illuminated city below. But Ha-eun barely noticed. Her focus was on the man lying in the hospital bed. Kang Tae-sek had once been a big man, strong, imposing, but now he was thin, pale, with tubes connected to his body. But his eyes were still sharp. They still had that glint of someone who didn't accept excuses. Tae-sek, so this is her. Minjun, yes, father, this is Ha-eun. Tae-sek looked Ha-eun up and down. He didn't try to hide his judgment. Tae-sek, you are the reason my son destroyed everything I built. Ha-eun felt Minjun tense beside her, but she didn't look away. Ha-eun, with all due respect, sir, I didn't ask him to do anything. He chose. Tae-sek, he chose wrong. Father. But Tae-sek raised his hand, silencing his son. Let her speak. Ha-eun took a step forward. Ha-eun, I won't pretend I'm good enough for your son. I'm not. He's a pilot, a businessman. He has money, education. And me? I slept on the streets, ate food from the trash. I have nothing. Tae-sek, then why did he choose you? I don't know, but it wasn't because I asked. It was because he wanted to. Tae-sek smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. Tae-sek, do you know how much money Skyline lost because of this choice of yours? Ha-eun, 15 billion won, Minjun told me. Tae-sek, and you don't feel guilty? I do, every night. But I offered to step away, and he refused. Tae-sek, because you manipulated him? No, because he's stubborn, just like you. Minjun almost choked. No one spoke to Kang Tae-sek like that. But surprisingly, Tae-sek laughed. It was a weak, painful, but genuine laugh. Tae-sek, she has courage. I'll give her that. Minjun, she has more than courage. She has strength. She survived things most people wouldn't survive. Tae-sek was silent for a moment, studying Ha-eun. Tae-sek, why did he help you? Ha-eun looked at Minjun, then back at Tae-sek. Ha-un, because he'd been where I was and someone helped him. Tae-sek, and you think you deserve that help? Ha-un, no, but he gave it to me anyway. Tae-sek, why? Ha-un took a deep breath. Ha-un, because he's better than anyone I've ever known. Because he sees value in people when no one else does. Because he doesn't give up, even when it would be easier to give up. Tae-sek looked at his son. Tae-sek, do you really love her? Min-jun didn't hesitate. Min-jun, yes. Tae-sek, even knowing you'll lose everything? I won't lose everything. I'll lose money, I'll lose investors. But I won't lose what truly matters. And what matters? Being happy, choosing my own life, being with someone who makes me want to be better. Tae-sek closed his eyes for a long moment. When he opened them again, there was something different in them, something softer. Tae-sek, when I was young, I also had to choose between what my family wanted and what I wanted. I chose what they wanted, built this company, did everything right, and I was unhappy for 30 years. He looked at Min-jun. I don't want that for you. Min-jun, father. Tae-sek, I was angry when you ended the engagement. I was furious. I thought you were being selfish, immature. But then I saw you with her today, the way you look at her, the way she challenges you, and I understood. Understood what? That you are finally alive. Ha-un felt her own tears fall. Tae-sek extended his trembling hand to Min-jun. Tae-sek, you're going to lose money. You're going to lose investors. The company will suffer. But you are my son. You are intelligent, hard-working, determined. You'll figure it out. You always have. Min-jun, and you? Will you be okay with this? No. I'm going to die angry that you messed up everything I built. Min-jun laughed through his tears. Tae-sek, but I'm going to die knowing you're happy. And in the end, that matters more. Min-jun held his father's hand and cried. Ha-un stood a step behind, giving them space. After a moment, Tae-sek looked at Ha-un again. Tae-sek, you, come here. Ha-un approached, nervous. Tae-sek, take care of him. My son is an idiot sometimes, stubborn, proud, but he has a good heart. Don't let him mess up again. Ha-un smiled through her tears. Ha-un, I promise. Tae-sek, and if he hurts you, you call me. I still have the strength to beat him up. Father! They stayed for a few more minutes, talking, sometimes in silence, just being together. When they left, Min-jun was different, lighter, as if a giant weight had been lifted from his shoulders. In the hospital parking lot, he pulled Ha-un into a hug. Min-jun, thank you. Ha-un, why? For going there, for facing him, for everything. Ha-un hugged him back. Ha-un, your father is strong. Min-jun, he was. Now he's... I know. They stayed like that for a long moment, embracing, crying together, healing together. Min-jun's father died 3 weeks later. It was peaceful. He was sleeping and simply didn't wake up. Min-jun was by his side when it happened.
The funeral was large, hundreds of people, businessmen, pilots, employees, all dressed in black, all with solemn expressions. Ha-un stayed in the back, trying not to draw attention. But Min-jun found her in the crowd, held her hand, and didn't let go for the rest of the day. The following weeks were difficult. Min-jun was dealing with his father's death, with the company in crisis, with lawyers, with furious partners. There were days he barely slept. There were days he didn't even eat. But every night, no matter how late it was, he called Ha-un. Min-jun, are you okay? Ha-un, I'm tired, but I'm okay. Min-jun, did you eat? Ha-un, not yet. Min-jun, Min-jun, I know, I'll eat, I promise. Ha-un, you need to take care of yourself. I know, and you? How are you? Better. The lawyer said the lawsuit is almost over. They found my father. He's in jail now. Good, he deserves it. Ha-un. And the loan sharks accepted a settlement. I'll pay half the debt in installments, 20 months. It's a lot, but it's better than 30 million all at once. You'll make it. I will. And, Min-jun? Yes? Ha-un. Thank you for everything. I'll never be able to thank you enough. You don't need to thank me. You just need to be okay. A month after the funeral, Min-jun appeared at the Goshiwan with a proposal. Min-jun, come live with me. Ha-un was washing a mug in the tiny hallway sink. She almost dropped it. Ha-un, what? Min-jun, come live with me. I have an apartment in Gangnam, 3 bedrooms, lots of space. You can have your own room, your privacy. But I want you close. Ha-un, Min-jun. I know it's fast, I know, but I can't stand being away from you anymore. Every night I wonder if you're okay, if you've eaten, if you're safe. And I know it would be easier if... Yes. He stopped. Yes? Yes, I'll live with you. Min-jun smiled. It was the first true smile since his father's death. Seriously? Seriously. But only if you promise one thing. What? That you won't treat me like a project, that you won't protect me too much, that you'll let me take care of you too. Min-jun pulled her into a hug. I promise. Moving into Min-jun's apartment was strange at first. Ha-un had never lived in such a big place, so clean, so empty. The apartment was beautiful, modern, with huge windows that showed the entire city. But it had no life. No personality. Ha-un, you never decorated this place? Never had time. And I never really cared about it. Ha-un, can I change some things? You can do whatever you want. This is your home now, too. Little by little, Ha-un began to transform the apartment. She bought plants, hung photos, placed colorful cushions on the gray sofa. Nothing too expensive, but everything with meaning. And for the first time, Min-jun's apartment felt like a home. They created a routine. Min-jun woke up early for flights. Ha-un woke up later and made coffee. Sometimes they had breakfast together. Sometimes Min-jun had already left, but he always left a note. Min-jun, OS. Good morning. Hot coffee in the thermos. I'll be back tonight. I love you. Ha-un kept every note. She also started working, nothing big, part-time at a bookstore near the apartment, organizing shelves, helping customers. It didn't pay much, but it was hers. She was rebuilding. Slowly, but she was. And every night, when Min-jun returned, they had dinner together, talked, sometimes watched something on TV, sometimes just sat in silence, side by side. It was simple, but it was perfect. One night, 2 months after she had moved in, Min-jun came home early. Ha-un was cooking jjigae, something she had learned to make well. I'm home. Ha-un, earlier today? I canceled the last flight. I wanted to spend the night with you. Ha-un smiled and served the soup in 2 bowls. They sat at the table eating in comfortable silence. After dinner, Min-jun went to the bedroom and came back with a small box. Ha-un, what is this? Min-jun, open it. She opened it slowly. Inside was a key. Min-jun, it's the apartment key, official, with your name engraved. Because this is your home now. No matter what happens, this is your place. Ha-un felt the tears come. Ha-un, Min-jun, Min-jun, and there's one more thing. He took a deep breath. Min-jun, the company is stabilizing. We've secured new investors. It's far from perfect, but we'll survive. That's incredible, Min-jun. And I'm thinking of taking a step back, letting the partners manage more, flying less, being home more. Why? Min-jun, because I want to be here, with you. I want to have time to live, to be happy, to build a real life. Ha-un held his hand across the table. Are you sure? Absolutely. You won't regret it? Never.
Ha-un stood up, walked around the table, and sat on his lap. She hugged him tightly, feeling his heart beating against hers. "I love you."
It was the first time she had said that. Min-jun tensed for a second, then hugged her even tighter. "Min-jun, I love you too, so much that sometimes it scares me." "Ha-yun, why?" "Because I've never felt this before, never, and I'm afraid of losing it." "Ha-yun, you won't lose it." "Min-jun, how do you know?" "Ha-yun, because I'm here too, fighting every day, to be better, to be happy, to stay." They stayed like that for a long time, embracing, crying a little, smiling a little, just being together. 3 months later, Ha-yun finished paying the first installment of her debt. She went to the bank, made the transfer, and kept the receipt. There were still 19 installments left, but it was a start. She was rebuilding her life, brick by brick, day by day. And Min-jun was by her side every step of the way. One night, they were on the couch, watching an old movie, when Ha-yun said something she had kept to herself for weeks. Ha-yun, "Min-jun? Min-jun, hmm?" Ha-yun, "Remember when you said you'd take me flying?" "I remember." Ha-yun, "Can I still?" Min-jun smiled. Min-jun, "Of course, whenever you want." Ha-yun, "Tomorrow?" Min-jun, "Tomorrow." And the next day, Min-jun took her to the private airport. They boarded a small Cessna, just the two of them, Min-jun at the controls, Ha-yun beside him, her heart beating wildly. Min-jun, "Are you ready?" "Yes." They took off, and when the plane left the ground, when Seoul became small beneath them, when the sky opened up, infinite and blue, Ha-yun felt something she had never felt before: freedom. She looked out the window, seeing the world below, so small, so distant, and for the first time in her life, Ha-yun wasn't afraid to fall, because she knew that no matter what happened, Min-jun would be there to hold her. 6 months later, Ha-yun stood in front of the bookstore where she worked, looking at the October sky. Autumn had arrived in Seoul. The leaves were red and golden, the air was crisp, and for the first time in over a year, Ha-yun felt complete. Not perfect. There were still difficult days. There were still moments when anxiety returned. Moments when she looked around and couldn't believe that this was really her life now. But she was learning to accept, learning to live. The phone rang. It was Min-jun. "Hi." Min-jun, "Hi. Did you leave work?" "I just left." "Good, because I have a surprise." "What kind of surprise?" "The kind you have to come to the Han River to find out." Ha-yun smiled. "You're being mysterious." "I am. Come quickly." She took the subway to the nearest station to the river and walked to the place where they had been on their first important night, the place where they almost kissed, the place where everything had changed. Min-jun was there, leaning on the railing, looking at the water. But he wasn't alone. There was a small table set up, candles, flowers, food, and lights strung in the trees around, creating something magical. Ha-yun stopped, disbelieving. Ha-yun, "Min-jun, what is this?" He turned and smiled, that smile she loved, that smile that made her feel safe. Min-jun, "A dinner, for us." Ha-yun, "But how did you manage to do this here?" Min-jun, "I got some permits, paid some people. It wasn't easy, but," he shrugged, "you deserve it." Ha-yun walked to him, tears already starting to fall. Ha-yun, "You're crazy." "I know." They sat at the table, ate slowly, talked about everything and nothing. About his work, about her bookstore, about weekend plans, about simple, mundane things that meant everything. When they finished, Min-jun stood up and extended his hand. Min-jun, "Dance with me?" "There's no music." Min-jun, "You don't need it." Ha-yun took his hand and stood up. They danced there, in silence, with only the sound of the wind and the city in the distance. She rested her head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat. Min-jun, "Ha-yun?" "Hmm?"
Minjun, do you remember the first night we met? How could I forget? Minjun, you were holding my card, crying, and you said you wanted to fly, wanted to disappear. I remember. Minjun, do you still want to disappear? Hyun lifted her head and looked into his eyes. Hyun, no, now I want to stay. Minjun smiled and put his hand in his pocket, pulled out a small blue box. Hyun's heart stopped. Hyun, Minjun, let me speak, please. She nodded, unable to speak. Minjun, when I found you on that street, I thought I was saving you. But the truth is, you saved me. Saved me from a life I didn't want, from a future that suffocated me. You showed me what's truly important. You made me want to truly live. He opened the box. Inside was a simple ring. Delicate, perfect. I don't know what the future will bring. I don't know if the company will survive. I don't know if we'll always have money. I don't know anything. But I know one thing. I want to be with you through everything, on good days and bad days.
When we have money and when we don't. When I'm happy and when I'm sad. I want everything with you. Ha-eun's tears fell freely now. Min-jun, Park Ha-eun, will you marry me? Ha-eun covered her mouth with her hands, sobbing. She wanted to speak, but the words wouldn't come out. So she just nodded. Nodded many times, laughing and crying at the same time. Ha-eun, yes, yes, 1,000 times yes. Min-jun placed the ring on her finger and pulled her into a kiss. It was the deepest kiss they had ever shared. Full of promises, full of love, full of future. When they separated, Ha-eun looked at the ring on her finger. Ha-eun, it's beautiful. Min-jun, it's not as expensive as it should be. The company is still recovering and Ha-eun placed her finger on his lips. It's perfect because it came from you. They stood there, embracing, looking at the city that had witnessed everything. The pain, the healing, the love. Ha-eun, Min-jun? Min-jun, yes? Ha-eun, thank you. Min-jun, why? For stopping on that street, for seeing me, for giving me a chance. Min-jun, thank you for accepting. Ha-eun rested her head on his shoulder again. Ha-eun, do you think we'll be okay? Min-jun, I think we'll fight. It'll be hard sometimes, but yes, we'll be okay. Ha-eun, how do you know? Because we've already been through the worst, and we survived. Together. 1 year later. The wedding was small, just close friends and a few family members. Nothing extravagant, just simple and true. Ha-eun wore a simple white dress. Min-jun wore a navy blue suit, and they got married in a small chapel near the Han River. Ha-eun had finished paying off her debt. She had gotten a promotion at the bookstore. She was taking literature classes at night, thinking about maybe going back to school. Min-jun had managed to stabilize the company. It wasn't as big as before, but it was healthy, and he was flying less, spending more time at home, more time with her. They had bought a smaller, cozier apartment in Mapo, near the river, near where it all began. And every night, before falling asleep, Ha-eun looked at the man beside her and gave thanks. She gave thanks for the cold street where she had hit rock bottom, because that's where she had found the card that changed everything. She gave thanks for the despair that made her keep it, because it was that despair that led her to Min-jun. And she gave thanks for him stopping, for looking, for seeing something in her that she no longer saw in herself. One night, they were lying in bed, just talking in the dark, when